And we know that leadership and culture are fundamental drivers to shift safety performance, but they're not the only drivers. We know that we need systems to be really well structured, and in terms of critical controls, critical factors, how are you managing those significant risks in your business and ensuring that you have controls in place. So there's been previous speakers touch on that to various degrees, but the way we sort of look at it is leadership needs to switch people on. My experience is that most leaders at times are passionate and engaged, but in fact they can switch people off. And so how do you actually create that environment of care and support? In terms of getting the cultural shift, you can talk about culture, but if you don't act on shifting it, it doesn't make any difference. So how do you act on it? Safe to Start is linked to systems, and courageous conversations is something that we really, when we're working at board, executive level, is actually ensuring that people in leadership roles are having courageous conversations about the real controls that could result in catastrophic failure. So what actual processes, what systems, and validating and verifying that they are there. So we should have this framework as a conversation and a methodology to actually take people through and explore in more detail what's happening inside of their business. So in May 1954, there was a significant event. Some of you were around then, some of you weren't, but it actually shifted fundamental beliefs on the whole planet. May 1954. Say again? No, not Sputnik, but you know, that had a bit of an impact. I'll give you a bit of a clue. It involves a runner. 4-minute mile, right? So Roger Bannister, 1954 in May, broke the 4-minute mile. This is a classic example of shifting beliefs. So, you know, he was disciplined, he trained, he was a doctor, and his medical research allowed him to try new training techniques. So it wasn't just good luck, but it wasn't just a belief. There was discipline to shift the way he was running. But there was a common belief in society at that point, it was impossible. In fact, your body would break down and you had physiological damage to your body if you broke the 4-minute mile. Your muscles would never recover. So there was a real shift in his thinking, a shift in his choices around his behaviour and his training. More importantly, when he broke it, which no one else had done, within the next 3 months, there was another 5 or 6 people, of which the second person to do it was an Australian. Unfortunately, we weren't first. John will be sitting over there quite happily going, we know it was England who did it first. And in this case, within the next year, 300 plus people broke the 4-minute mile. Now, nothing had changed physiologically, nothing had changed in terms of behaviour, except there was a core belief it was possible. So earlier today, people were talking about zero harm, zero incidents, how we reduce incidents. How do you create an environment where incidents are preventable? And we know that you can shift people's thinking or you can supervise their behaviour. So behavioural-based safety, which many of us use, changes behaviour through supervision, training, and tight controls. But we also know that what happens on night shift, what happens on the weekends, what happens outside, is that it's only blind compliance. It is not commitment. So the conversation is how do you create commitment-based cultures is actually by ultimately shifting thinking and core beliefs.